Okay, hi, this is Paul Slatkus. I'm speaking to Gene Dolgoff. Hi, Gene. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
I'm good. Actually, we're meeting through a friend of ours, a friend of good news, Rick Ulfik. Um, and actually, he's just got a new heart. So we have a heart behind us. Gene has been a good friend for Rick, he has told me, for 356,000 years. Did you guys go to high school together?
We went to junior high school together.
Okay. So that's a couple weeks ago. And well, what was it about Rick that has kept your relationship still going?
Well, combination of things. First of all, he's a really good guy and he's a nice guy and he's talented. He's compassionate, he's empathetic, and he cares about people. And he's fun.
Okay, I'm on the same page with him. All right. Well, we're in a mutual admiration for our mutual friend. And you were in on a call, and I learned about you, and the word MRI came up. And then, ironically, just 2 days prior to that phone call that we all had celebrate Rick's birthday, was I took an MRI. And so you have had some involvement with the MRI in your lifetime. Is that right?
Yes, I was very fortunate to meet the inventor of the MRI when he was still working on trying to make it work. And I was doing holographic medical imaging at the time. And so I brought him to my laboratory, showed him what I was doing, and he was impressed with it. And he told me what he was doing, and I was impressed with it. So he said, "Why don't we work together?" And he invited me to come out to his place on Long Island, which I did. And I was fortunate enough to work with him and develop the world's first commercial MRI back in 1980.
Wow. Okay. I've heard about him as well. I think he was a Queens boy. I think you're a Queens boy.
No, I'm from Manhattan.
Oh, you're from Manhattan. Oh, okay. Rick's from Queens. In
Really? I
any
didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe so. Maybe he came to school in New York, unless I'm wrong. Situations in life. So my MRI was to check to see if I had a prostate cancer problem.
Oh, how did it come out?
So it came out well, and I don't have a prostate cancer problem.
Oh, that's good.
So that was good news. So the word cancer is a concerning word for everybody. I'm going to say almost everybody, because either they have their own personal concern, or they know somebody, or have a family member affected somehow, some way with cancer. And Gene has now it has a hollow beam technology developing a major new breakthrough in cancer detection and treatment. We have already successfully treated cancer in mice and dogs. So I'm reading that from your website, hollowbeamtech.com. Now, yay. And so tell us something about that.
Well, this is something that I've been working on for many decades and have recently had some success working with a lot of really brilliant researchers and scientists and doctors. And I made a major breakthrough in 2017 in solving perhaps the biggest problem towards getting this to work. And then formed my company in 2018, applied for a patent, and we have been working to raise the funds to develop these products ever since. And now we've got the patent granted in the US and in Australia and pending in many other countries. And we've raised some money, and now we're just about to receive a lot of money so that we can really get this to the point where we can make it available to everyone.
Wow. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Now, I believe you at least on that call, were mentioning a little bit about how the concept worked. And from what I heard, it sounded like good news to me. Um, who also has had melanoma in two spots on my body that were taken off surgically. Um, but I know that cancer goes deeper than maybe surface, dig it out and it's hopefully gone. Cancer goes into prostates, it goes into the stomach, it goes into too many places.
It
It's
goes
not
into
a nice
anywhere.
thing. It's not a nice thing, that cancer.
No,
And so,
you're right.
but you have some concept to, in the process of dealing with it, that sounded much better than some of the traditional ways that people have been dealing with it that really haven't gone under the good news, but they are good news, but they're not good news. Tell me about what you have come up with.
Sure, I can summarize it for you. Put it all into a simple perspective. Uh, when there's cancer, which really means cells that are dividing improperly because of genetic alterations, it then generates more and more cancer cells that squeeze out the space that healthy cells used to be in, and they alter the function of the organ that they're in, or the tissue that they're in, to the point where it doesn't work. And then it sends cells throughout the body, as you were mentioning, which is called metastasis. And it can set up shop, regrowing more tumors in all kinds of different places in the body, eventually shutting down all your organs and killing you. So that's what cancer does. Now, there are several different ways to kill cancer, and there's no question that these ways kill cancer. One is chemotherapy, another is surgery, and another is radiation treatment, and another is immunotherapy. These are the main candidate ways to treat cancer. They all can kill cancer. However, the reason that doesn't matter, and when I say it doesn't matter, there are over 600,000 people that die of cancer in the U.S. every year. There are also about 12 million dogs and cats that die of cancer in the U.S. every year. And it's almost 10 million people around the world that die every year of cancer. One out of every two men and one out of every three women will get cancer in their lifetime. Will, not may. So that's pretty often. Your chances are a flip of a coin, and so it's a terrible thing. So the way to treat it is one of those four methods, but what's happening is they're applying energy to the cancer. You know, whether it's chemical energy from the chemotherapy, or it's X-ray energy from the X-ray radiation treatment, or it's surgery where they got to use energy to cut the tumor out, which none of these really work, and there's several reasons. And even immunotherapy, which is the newest, still is not a good answer. None of these work for most people. They do work for some people, and so some people can be sort of cured of cancer. But usually, if they are, quote, cured of cancer, they have deficits as a result of the treatment, which reduces their quality of life and also usually their length of life, too. The problem is, if you're going to get energy to the tumor, which is what you want to do, get that tumor to be killed, you've got to get the energy there somehow. So either it's going to be surgery where you cut into the body and find the tumor, and that's very hard to do because tumor is made out of small cells that you can't see. So you can find a big tumor, looks like a lemon or a grapefruit. You know, if it's really big, you can go in there and see it, and you can cut it out sometimes. But sometimes it's intertwined with the muscles and the nerves and the blood vessels and bone, so you can't really cut it all out. It would do damage to what it's entwined with. But the other problem is you don't know when to stop cutting, because the little cells that are on the outside, the edge of the tumor, called the margin, are impossible to see. So usually what they do is they cut more to make sure they get it. But that doesn't work. I mean, besides the fact that they're cutting out healthy cells, the cancer cells go beyond just a short distance. They go all over the place. So no matter where you cut, you're still missing some. And really, all you have to do is miss one, and it can grow again and it can travel to other places. So surgery doesn't usually succeed. Now, if you're using chemotherapy, you're sending a poison through the body, and that poison poisons healthy cells just as well as it poisons cancer cells. And in fact, less than 1% of the chemotherapy that is put into a patient winds up in the tumor cells. More than 99% of that chemistry that's poison goes to all your healthy cells. So the trick is put as much poison in that the patient can stand before they die. Just a little less than what would kill them, because you want to try to kill the cancer cells. And of course, that creates the hair falling out and the nausea and so many side effects and so on. And sometimes it doesn't do a thing to the cancer cells. So you tortured the person for nothing. So it's not a great solution, except sometimes. Sometimes it works. Depends on your genetic makeup and various other factors. Then there's radiation therapy. Well, you're sending these high energy radioactive beams into the body, and it goes through the healthy cells, and therefore it's damaging the healthy cells on the way to the tumor, and then after it leaves the tumor, on the way out of the body. So you're damaging a lot of cells. And the idea is, well, let's send in a few beams so that each beam can overlap at the point of the tumor. So that's where the main energy is. But meanwhile, you still have got energy going to all the other places where all these beams are. So you're damaging healthy cells. So that's a real problem. And then there's immunotherapy, which is expensive. It is very specialized to each patient. You got to take the patient's own cells. You have to genetically alter them and then put them back. And that doesn't always work. And sometimes that's fatal too. So none of these main techniques that are available that work sometimes work for everybody. So we found a very good solution using physics and Star Trek type technology. We take the energy and we teleport it into the tumor. When I say teleport, it sounds like it's science fiction, and it sounds like
Star Trek.
Star Trek, right? Which makes you think, oh, this is not for real. It's just some nut talking about science fiction. However, it is real, because what we're doing is we're causing the waves, and in one of the systems we're building, we're using infrared waves from a laser, so that these waves overlap each other and they cancel each other out, just the way in sound canceling headphones the sound waves superimpose and cancel each other out. That's how it cancels out the noise that you don't want to hear. So we're doing that with the laser beam and canceling out the energy all over the area of the body where normally damage would be done. So there's no energy anywhere except at the tumor cells. And there we allow the energy to be amplified, so we can crank as much energy in there as we want to and not worry about damaging healthy cells, because we cancel the energy everywhere where the healthy cells are. So that's the breakthrough. That's the whole new technology. And that way we can really damage and destroy the tumor cells. And we do have an additional technology that we use in addition, which are these special nanoparticles. They're really small, and nano meaning a billionth, and each nanometer is a billionth of a meter. And these are really very small, like 10, 20 nanometers. Anyway, these nanoparticles are guided by what are called monoclonal antibodies. And these are antibodies that were originally made by human immune systems, and they have the amazing ability to search through the body and attach to whatever kind of cell or pathogen you want. And it's like a key into a lock, and it finds what it's looking for and attaches to it, and it drags along our special nanoparticles. And then when we send the energy into the body, the energy goes to those nanoparticles. So if we're looking for a pancreatic cancer cell or group of cells that may have metastasized someplace else in the body, who knows where, these nanoparticles will find them and attach to them. So then we can send the energy in and it'll affect only those nanoparticles and destroy those cancer cells. So
Good.
that's it. That's our technologies.
Congratulations. So, and I know it says here you've tested it on, I guess, on animals at this point, right? Is that
That's right. Mice and dogs, right?
okay? And with success. So now with this infusion of investment, let's call it, human beings will be up. Human beings are on the batter's deck.
That's right. Now, but we're also going to make this available to the pet industry because, this is so important. Pets are part of our family.
All right.
People who have dogs or cats know this. And right now, the prognosis is never good, or almost never good if your pet gets cancer. So with this technology, we're going to make it available to veterinarians all over the world, and therefore pets can survive cancer. So that's another industry that we'll be in. But definitely, yes, the human industry is our next on deck.
So I will ask you just because the way you say it is, I just want to be clear. You're going to make it available, but it's going to be a medicine that people need to purchase, right?
No, no, no. It's not a medicine. No, you would go to the doctor, and then they would say, okay, you either go to the doctor's office or to a clinic or a hospital, and you go into this machine that we're making. And the machine is what detects the cancer cells and treats them in the machine.
You're back to your MRI concept.
Yeah, one of our systems is, in fact, an MRI, a modified MRI.
So a modified MRI, because there are MRI. Are you able to make which I happen to, my brother-in-law is a radiologist. I happen to know that those MRI machines, I know they're probably more than 1995, $19.95. So for some reason, they're fairly expensive machines. Not that I know why, but are you able to adapt some that are out there in the world?
Well, actually, we would rather not because we are building a new machine with a new design that is much smaller and much less expensive and takes up a lot less room and doesn't have all that noise. It doesn't make noise. And it doesn't take a half an hour of lying still. It only takes a fraction of a second, so you don't have to concern yourself with it to do a scan. I can't hear you anymore.
You can't hear me because I'm not saying anything. I'm like
Oh,
my jaws have dropped.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Meh,
Yeah,
meh.
right, right, right.
I
That's
thought I
the
was
way
in
it
the
is.
streets and they were digging up a pothole.
Yeah,
Ooh. And then
yeah,
me and many others say, "Do you have an open MRI?"
yeah. I will. Yeah, we could have an open one, but our first one isn't an open one.
So right, but that's 1 minute compared to 20 to 25.
Well, we're talking about a second.
A second's even shorter.
Yeah.
So, oh my good God Almighty. Well, how can we help?
I don't know
Help.
the answer to that one. If you had come to me a few months ago, I would have said, "Well, join our quest to find investors." But now that we found the investors we need, uh, I don't have to say that. But I tell you, you can still invest in our company and buy stock. That's available, but it's no longer something that we are in need of.
Okay, great.
So I
Well,
mean, we still make stock available to accredited investors, but it's a different story now that we found the investment we need.
yeah, those other words are finding the investor are the hardest words to come by for scientists like you.
Yeah, yeah, it sure was. It
God
took
darn.
me
Well,
5 years.
yeah, well, it seems to be it's taken me my whole life, my business career, 30 plus years. In any case, and I do good news, only positive, life affirming content like what I'm hearing here right now.
Well,
Well,
isn't what you trade in good news?
I trade in good news. You can invest in good news. I will give you stocks or shares or a piece of my house. Gladly. I'll come over and play the piano, but not as well as Rick. But you know, we just want to support the reality of the real world is that most of the world lives in peace and in harmony and niceness and kindness and giving and trusting and all the things that we think the world has, the world does have. Because if the world did not have, we wouldn't be here. And so we need to be logical. There are warriors, there is violence. So that's a whole nother scenario. And unfortunately, it's a scenario that we're living under right now, probably a little bit more than we have ever, at least in our lifetime, since the last 50 plus years have been sort of in a little bit of a way peaceful, more peaceful than world wars. So that's a whole nother subject that we're not going to approach at least today. Gene, thank you very much. The name of the website is,
holobeamtech.com.
could you spell that for the audience if you wouldn't mind?
Certainly, it's HOLOBEAMTECH, holobeamtech.com.
Okay,
The
it's a beautiful,
company is Holobeam Technologies.
fantastic. Okay, and is it a listed stock? Is that possible?
No, we're not listed. We're not a public company at the moment. We will be in a few years when we have our products out and our revenue streams up. Then it'll make more sense for us to become a public company, and then we'll be raising hundreds of millions because that's the kind of money you need to do what we're doing. And one of
Okay.
the things that I didn't mention is that we also developed a holographic display system, and that's part of our scanners. Instead of looking at a flat two-dimensional black and white image, which is what you see from an MRI or a CT scan or an X-ray, our system produces a full color, three-dimensional volumetric image that floats in front of you in midair, and no glasses or goggles are needed for you to see the 3D. And you can take your hands and put it on the image and rotate the image in any direction, and it'll rotate. And you can immediately erase the bones, for instance, to see the tissues that were normally hidden by the bones in other scans. And you can highlight different areas where you want to look at the pathology. So this is a radical new type of display, which makes it so much easier to diagnose what you're looking at. And that's a part of our systems as well.
I want to get an image of your brain and then I'm going to put it into my brain too, because you're a smart guy. I did the brain series a long time ago, and it's fascinating what science. At that time, they just had come up with the PET scan. So, and that was kind of, oh, wow, look at this in color and whatever. That was like semi first and 82, 1982, way back when, probably was around before that. But science is like my favorite subject to speak about or learn about or to share with others. Let's put it that way, because health is wealth. We got nothing if we don't have our health, or we have nothing. Bad English. No, or we have nothing if we don't have health. That's the wealth. Why are you doing what you do? How did you get into this area of business?
Well, I was an inventor ever since I was born. and I think I came pre-programmed. I knew a lot of things as a baby that I shouldn't have known. There was no way to understand how I got to know all the things I knew as a baby. But that led me to hone in on some particular areas that interested me. And then I just kept growing and learning more and meeting more brilliant people and learning from them. And it just continued to build on itself throughout my life.
All right. Well, thank your parents. Let's not underestimate them. No parents, no you. So be it. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for sharing. And is that your lab behind you or an office behind you?
Actually, it's not, but we're just about to find a new location to build new laboratories and offices. Now, with newfound money, now we're going to build the new headquarters and the place where we're going to do all the work. And
Okay.
it'll be on Long Island.
Okay. We like Long Island as long as we can say it properly. It's a good place. All right. Great. Gene, thanks so much for sharing the good news
Well,
with us.
thank you for the time on your podcast.
Appreciate it. Take care, my friend. Bye bye.
So long.